Morning everybody, welcome to Solo ReacTalk. This morning I'm going to be reacting to Star Wars vs. Warhammer 40k, episode 42, part... Whoa, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I'm so sorry. I'm not reacting to episode 42, part 4. I've already did that previously. I'm doing the after talk now. Oh, yes, it's titled there. I should really learn to finish the sentence before jumping to conclusions. Yes, it's Star Wars vs. Warhammer 40k, episode 42, part 4, Mortal Fall After Talk, made on the A Fan With Too Much Time YouTube channel. If you guys want to check out my previous reaction to the other episodes and parts of Star Wars vs. Warhammer 40k, remember that the reaction playlist card is going to be at the top right here. Just click on it and be able to access them. If you want to check out the original video as well as A Fan With Too Much Time's YouTube channel, the links are going to be in the description below. Okay, let's start with the after talk. 3, 2, 1, go.
Hey there, guys. Fan with too much time here. Just checking in to give an update. Not intending to go into politics this time, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to skim it a little bit because I do want to talk about some recent media matters, and as most of us know and hate, these things are now webbed together and entangled, and one cannot address one without addressing the other because one is the cause of the other. But this should steer clear of raw politics. I don't intend to talk about the golden calf or anything relating to things like that or policy. This is actually more directed towards the people who should be my fellow liberals, but that I will save for the very end of the video. So when you hear me talking about it, I'll give a warning and you can just stop right there if you like, or keep going.
I'm here from the beginning to the end. I'm here. Let's go.
It is not my intention to offend anyone, and I do try to be as even-handed as I can. Still recovering. Don't feel quite well enough to dive head first into the Q&As, so no Q&As today. Very sorry. I was very sick. I think that I overworked myself in the last run.
I think you're still sick. Yeah, the voice, even I think you've got some sinus problems maybe.
Producing so many episodes in a single week, and I think that it bummed out my immune system at around the same time that it was under attack, and I got hit with a few things at once. Recovering now, feeling much better, but for a little while there, it really did feel like I got run over by like 8 different kinds of bus, all of them driven by Chaos Gods. It was really...
8 buses? How many Chaos Gods are there? Well, there are the 4 most prominent ones. And then, yeah, probably there's other Chaos Gods, but yeah, that's a lot.
Bad. Felt really bad. Feeling much better now. Like, you can't even imagine. So first, let's do a little update. So work on the next episode, Lords of Catastrophe, or rather the Lords of Catastrophe, has begun again, and the episode should be ready in about 2 weeks. I'm really eager to get through this whole Axum arc. Things have finally narrowed down. The last few scenarios are playing out. I've actually put a lot of my other projects aside to help get this one.
I'm sorry. If I miss my time, I'm looking at the game you're playing. Is that an albino monkey? Interesting.
Done. And while I don't want to shoot myself in the foot with any more bad estimates, because you guys know that I am terrible at measuring that out, I think that we should be no more than 5 or so episodes away from Axum's culminations and conclusions. Soon we will be returning to Anakin Skywalker.
As much as I do want to get back to Anakin Skywalker, I also want to get back to General Grievous. I also want to get back to him and him fighting against oh gosh, I forgot their names. I forgot the name of the Astartes. The chapter. Oh gosh, what were their names again? But you guys know who I'm talking about, right? Yes, there was a duel between General Grievous and a Astartes. I want to get back to that fight. I want to get back to that situation. Anakin Skywalker, yes, that's also important, but but there's one particular fight I want to get back to.
And how his adventure ties into this, and after that, we'll follow through with Orion's prophecy and his special operation.
A puma killing a crocodile? Or is that a black lion killing a crocodile? What is this game you're playing? Yeah, I've had too much time. Oh gosh. Yeah, I kind of forgot about that prophecy that Orion has of the Skywatch, right? The Skywatch chapter. Yeah, I forgot about that prophecy. But it did entail the destruction of Coruscant, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yes.
Oh, I have a fan named Omniversal Studios. Remember that. Omniversal Studios. Please check out his channel because he is helping me a great deal with AI voices. Yeah, please check out his channel. I'll put a link to it in the description. And you should be able to see his name popping up somewhere on the screen here. Show the guy some love.
Alright, let me check out his YouTube channel. Omniversal Studios. Alright.
He has been putting in a lot of work to give me some very interesting samples here. AI voices are amazing. Not absolutely perfect, but they may be... Oh.
They'll get better with time. The generated voices will become so seamless. It will make you think that you're actually talking to a real human being. It's just a matter of time.
They may be close enough. Instead of me trying to sit here and describe to you how accurate I think they've gotten.
What the hell? How big is that eagle that it would take the mother and the baby? I'm sorry if I'm wasting my time, but the game you're playing is distracting. The game that you're playing is very distracting. Ancestors, oh right, okay. I'll look it up.
Here are some samples of Ahsoka Tano from some people's favorite episodes. Tell me what you guys think.
All right, let's go. Can you speak? We are not monsters. We could kill you all here and now and it would be easier.
Stop. It sounds good, but she sounds like a child. She sounds like all the way back in season 1 of Star Wars versus... not Star Wars versus Warhammer. No, I mean Star Wars The Clone Wars, the animated series. She sounds like all the way back there. You know, when she was still a young Padawan. Young baby Padawan with her, her... what do they call them? her little flaps, they weren't as prominent and growing out. They were still right here on her neck. Yeah, she sounds like a baby. So if they could just make her voice a bit more mature, then I think it can work. Yeah.
This does not need to be a slaughter. There can still be honor between foes. Surrender. Please surrender. Rex, set blasters to stun and take them.
Yeah, like I said, just make the voice a bit more mature, and you got it. You got it.
Take this and use it when you have no choice. But be careful. I just want them helpless, not to cripple them further. Make sure you don't damage them so badly we can't replace their cybernetics with our own. This is meant to be mercy, Trooper, not a dissection. You may as well have said you are a priest of the Dancing Order of the Divine Nonsense, because none of those words meant anything to me. What in the galaxy is the motive force? Why is there an order for it? And does any of that have anything to do with why you are blue? No, it's just, your homeworld's name is Dirt. I mean, is that just me misunderstanding the translation? Did you find it? Peace, I mean? You preach one truth and act out another. You said that your largest concern is to execute the will of the Force. Because it is the wish of the sane, the reason I fight. Because it is...
So, in this game, Ancestors, you play as, what, chimpanzees? Or some sort of Homo sapien species, but of a different descendant? Okay, interesting. Yes, I am focusing on what I'm hearing in terms of Ahsoka, the AI voice. Like I said before, make it more mature. Otherwise, I'm okay with it. With this game that afanwithtoomuchtime is playing, I'm very keenly interested to know more about it. It looks very good. It looks very, very good.
The will of the Force. I am not lying. I hate to hear this. I hate to see how much you must have gone through. But you are wrong. Wrong about the Republic. We don't want to do anything like that to anybody. For the Force's sake, there are more human senators than there are alien ones. You're wrong about your reaction to these things that have happened to you. Wrong to become the monsters you so hate. To do to everyone what they have been doing to you. You're even wrong about me being an alien. I don't really know. Could you explain to me what an abhuman is?
So, tell me for real, what do you guys think?
Like I said, it's good. Just make it more mature.
Should I replace Ahsoka's performance and the performances of most, if not all, of the female voices?
Not all of them. I think your voice is still quite good in terms of, acting as a female character with your voice. Because, there are some, for instance, Imperium of Man soldiers or part of the Sisters of Battle who must have this very strong and commanding, rough, damaged vocal voice, almost akin to like a man. So I think yours would be perfect there, especially like when I would hear someone like Leandra or someone who's like Rejulia, they would need that very rough voice because they've always been singing and shouting for the God Emperor, and they have this very powerful commanding presence with their voice as well, as Sisters of Battle. So I think your voice would still work there, unless of course there is an AI voice that can compete with you and maybe even surpass your vocal chords, if I can say it like that. But yeah, I think with some characters you should still be there, like the Imperium of Man soldiers or the Imperium of Man special units like the Sisters of Battle. But when it comes to Star Wars, yes, there might be some characters there that can be AI voice acted, like Ahsoka Tano or Padme Amidala or what's her name again? Dr. Oh my gosh, I forgot her name. Dr. Eva? Dr. Eva? Oh my gosh, I forgot her name. What's her name? You guys know who I'm talking about. You guys know who I am talking about, okay? I'm not going crazy. You know who I'm talking about. There's a specific doctor, okay, who's with Bucket. Yes, her. Yeah, probably an AI voice for her too, and maybe some other characters as well. So not all the female characters have to be replaced with AI voice, and not all the male characters as well need to be replaced with the AI voice. I think your voice is very integral, very important in Star Wars versus Warhammer 40k. So it should not be completely replaced. Yeah, you can stay. You must stay.
Or characters with voices that are already known with these AI voices. It's a very interesting concept or prospect to me, and of course AI will only get better. I'm leaving that decision in your hands. Please let me know what you think I should do in the comments down below. This is a very important decision here. I'm definitely going to use AI voices for some things. I mean, you just heard some of the Ahsoka Tano, some of the Ahsoka Tano samples, but there are some Clone Trooper samples too that I can't show due to spoilers, and very good. I think that at the very least, I'll have to use the AI voice for the minor performances in each episode, because
I agree, definitely. If that's possible and you are satisfied with how they sound like, then by all means.
Like the clone voices were they blew my attempts out of the water, which you guys know I'm no professional at voice acting, so it's
I would say you're very good. I would say you're not professional, but you're very good.
a relief to get that kind of authenticity in there. But please, in the comments down below right now, pause the video and tell me what you think about the idea that I should replace either a single character's voice and who that character should be, or all the female characters' voices, or all of the already voiced characters' voices like Mace Windu and Obi-Wan Kenobi with the AI voices, and I'll pitch it to Universal or Omniversal Studios. He's already doing a lot of work, so I'll have to be picky and choosy about which ones I hand over for him. But even so, this will have a huge impact. So go ahead and let me know what you think about that. Lastly, and here's a little bit of your warning for people. I'm about to talk about like The Mandalorian and a lot of things about like Marvel comics. I used to read so many Marvel comics, and like I said, these things are intrinsically tied up with identity politics and things like that. I'm going to talk about those things versus quality in writing and whatnot. And so if you don't want to hear any of that, here's where you may want to hop off. Now, disclaimer, I have not watched The Mandalorian Season 3. And after...
Yeah, me too. I watched Season 1. Season 2, I don't know if I really completed it. I can't remember. Season 3, I saw snippets of it on YouTube here and there, people discussing about it, but I don't have that interest to watch anything Star Wars. I think I've discussed this before, especially on afanwithtoomuchtime videos, especially with the after talks. I've spoken about this before, that I just don't have the interest anymore to watch anything related to Star Wars. That fire in me has been extinguished. Yeah. So,
seeing how they stole the purpose of The Mandalorian Season 1 and 2 within the Book of Boba Fett by having Grogu abandon Luke to return to the status quo. I am not eager. I'm not eager to watch any more of The Mandalorian. For me, that ship has almost, if not completely sailed, because, I mean, how bad storytelling when you're, literally, like, tossing out the whole point of, it's so bad. Narratively, Grogu going back for so little reason.
I think that was an executive decision from Disney, probably telling them that we need to sell toys. People like the cute little green alien. So why not bring him back? No, not why not. We insist. We insist that you bring back Grogu. So yeah, I think that was an executive decision by the higher ups telling the director that, you got to bring him back. We need that money.
It just cheapens so much of what came before. It really does. I mean, heck, even the Mandalorian's problems with the Covenant, because he removed his helmet, it's all a result of him thinking that was going to be like potentially the last time he ever saw Grogu. And certainly among the last times, if not the last time, he'd ever be in his custody. It was a moment of gravitas, and it was stolen by this atrocious decision to put him back together for so little reason. I mean, it would have been one thing if Luke was suddenly under attack and he needed to give him back to the Mandalorian while he sorted through the people who were hunting him or something like that. It would make sense, at least a little bit. Still wouldn't be good, but it wouldn't be as horrific as what we got, which is just Luke giving this choice to a child who is by nature and design unwise, but whatever. So I'm not eager to go back to it for that reason alone. Very narratively bankrupt, very greedy of Lucasfilms and Disney to do that. But I also have heard that they steal the spotlight from the titular Mandalorian in The Mandalorian Season 3 in order.
Ancestors, the Humankind Odyssey is 629 rands. That's a lot of money. Okay, I'll put it on my wish list, and hopefully one day they will slash the prices, more than 50%. Hopefully one day. Because 629 rands is a lot of money. Yeah. Not now, maybe later. That looks nice. Okay.
To give it in sneaky fashion to Bo-Katan. Now, I like Bo-Katan. Bo-Katan was a lot of fun, especially in the Clone Wars. Just a lot of fun, very interesting character. But why is there no honesty in supposedly liberally fueled media anymore? We used to be the gold standard for honesty. I mean, think about it. Before the rise of the culture war and this identity politics bullshit and the Force is female and all of that, it was just commonly accepted that the vast majority of artists, creators, writers, movie directors were liberal, because you kind of have to be liberal to be creative and invent new things as opposed to being overly conservative. It's not always the case, but it is definitely the historical precedent that it was for the most part. And now I just don't know what to believe. The word liberal has been taken and abused so strongly. I used to be proud of the idea of being progressive. Who doesn't want to be progressive?
I think the word liberal is now associated with corporate greed. They are all catering to a market that they believe exists, and they will push whatever narrative, whatever point, to make sure that they get that quick buck as soon as possible. And those who question, those who are against, this type of actions, they would consider them as backward people, as people that are not worthy of being listened to. And most of the time, those people are like the loyal fan base of the franchise. And they shun those people out and try to bring in new people into the franchise. And sometimes it doesn't work, Sometimes it doesn't work. Nobody wants to find the balance. They want to go their own way. If you don't accept this new way, then you'll be kicked out, essentially. So yeah, I think this type of liberalism is mixed up with capitalism in such a way that the franchises that we've always loved, that we've always looked up to, are changing. Maybe not for the better for us, who still remember the old days, but it's changing for the present day generation of younger people who might enjoy this new direction that these companies are taking the franchises to. They might enjoy it. We don't know. I mean, they're still making money. And that's what's most important, to them, that they make the money. So if it's working for them, if they're prepared to be spending millions upon millions of dollars for things that we might see as being useless or not really, honoring the franchise, and they're just doing it for a quick buck, and it works for them, then what can we do? What can we do? What can we do? But if it's failing, if the franchise is failing, and it's due part to their decision making, then heads will roll. Someone is going to be fired. Someone is going to be replaced. And then we'll see where the new direction of the franchise will lead to. So for now, we just sit, be patient, watch. If you want to watch it, critique it if you want to. But, that's just the way things are now. Yeah. Times have changed.
Doesn't want to progress, go forward boldly into the future. But it's now less about going boldly into the future, and now it's about a bunch of other things, and stopping people from going where they want to go, forcing them to conform, which is conservative in nature. And of course you need a certain amount of that. I mean, conformity is a great part of what makes civilization possible, but it shouldn't be seen as liberal. It's two halves of different things. It's just, everything is upside down now, so upside down. The thing is that it's like Bo-Katan is not the Mandalorian. She is a Mandalorian. It's not impossible for her. It's not impossible to turn her into the Mandalorian. You definitely can. But to do that, you need to put in the legwork. It needs to be a whole process by which it goes down. The characters need to be, the character needs to be subtly introduced and reintroduced, rather, in this case, and endeared to the audience, and endeared even to the main cast in certain ways, but definitely to the audience. You need to build the bricks and stepping stones that make the audience who are watching secretly want this to be the case, even if they don't really know yet that they want it.
Yeah, I don't know about this because I haven't watched season 3 of The Mandalorian. I'm not entirely sure where I stand with that. But yeah, if they're trying to replace, The Mandalorian with Bo-Katan, like afanwithtoomuchtime just stated that, they need to build up the character so that people can love this character, so that people can think about this character or visualize this character as the new Mandalorian, if I can say that. They have to visualize it. Now, if they're not really building those concrete foundations for the audience to love Bo-Katan in that certain type of way, like they love the Mandalorian, then it is going to be like, it's going to be seen as just a parachuting of a character into replace the character that everybody else loves, which is the Mandalorian. I remember Bo-Katan from the Clone Wars, and she was cool where she was shown in the series. And yeah, just build up on her character, keep building up on her character, take it slow, make more episodes in a season, for God's sakes. Like, guys, come on. Don't give us 8 or 10 or 3 episodes per season and say that that's done. No, we need to get back to when seasons were 20 episodes long. 20 episodes long. We need to go back to that time. Even if it means sacrificing the quality of the production of the episodes. It's fine. It's fine. There's a reason why shows like Star Trek or Stargate or Andromeda or Babylon 5 or the X-Files or the Outer Limits, or many of these sci-fi television shows, how long they've lasted, on our TVs, going for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 seasons long, and having spin-offs from the main series, is because they focused on making sure that everybody is able to understand each and every single character in those shows. Making sure that we invest our emotions, our time in loving the characters in these shows. Delving deep into their personalities, delving deep into the world that is built around them. And that takes episodes. It takes more than 10 episodes. It takes 20 episodes. And that's what we need to get back to. A season full of 20 episodes, and not 5, not 3. And say that that's it, that's the end. So I think that's what we need to get back to those times where TV series would last for maybe 3 or 4 months, one season, because it's 20 episodes in one season. We need to get back to that type of TV.
So that when it happens, it doesn't actually feel like a subversion, but it feels like a gift. That's like, it's good writing. Is that that you already make people want it before they know they want it, and the way you do that is by doing the legwork, which typically takes more than one season. Again, I haven't watched The Mandalorian Season 3. Maybe they do it well, but if they did it well, I would have expected to see a lot less complaints and a lot more hype. I see a distinct lack of hype, a distinct spike in complaints. And, this is from the same fan base that fawns over several other female characters: Ahsoka Tano, Dr. Aphra, Princess Leia. So, it's not like...
Dr. Aphra? Who's that?
It's not like Star Wars is a patriarchy. It's always, for a long time now, been a nice spread of fan favorites, and in them are several strong female characters who are legitimate and cool and a joy to read and watch. So, it just it didn't feel too good to hear that they're going to go ahead and put Bo-Katan in this compromising position where, through the virtue or lack thereof of bad writing, a character who should be beloved and has every chance to be is going to be tarnished by being hurriedly pushed into the spotlight when a different character was promised to be there. When you go to McDonald's, you don't want pizza. It doesn't mean that pizza isn't good. It just
No, you want McDonald's is a burger joint. Yeah, you want a burger. You know, you're not there looking for a pizza. You're looking there for a burger. If you want a pizza, you go to Debonair's Pizza, or you go to Scooter's Pizza, or I'm talking about South African pizza franchises. What American? Domino's. Yes. If you want pizza, go to Domino's to get a pizza, or go to Pizza Hut to get a pizza. You know. Yeah.
means that you wanted a burger. You know, you go to get a burger, you don't want to go to a pizza. You look at the restaurant, it says burgers here. You go inside and they tell you, oh, well, we've run out of burgers, but we've got pizza. And it's like, well, that's a disappointment, even though pizza is good. Potentially even better than burgers, but not when you were looking for burgers. So controlling and dedicating to the right manipulation of an audience's expectation is very important in writing. And I don't necessarily say that as a fellow writer who knows how well I do at that myself. It's just I say that as an audience member, not as a writer. You know, I go in wanting a thing. You better give me what I want, or you better have put in the work to convince me before you present the option that what I'm getting is even better. One comes before the other, not the other way around. So this subverting of expectations is a cancer, really, really cancer, really cancer. So I don't expect that I will watch The Mandalorian Season 3. Like many of you already know, I have not watched any Disney media for Star Wars whatsoever.
Same here.
With the exception of a few episodes of Andor because of the request of a friend.
Nah, not even Andor. I've watched clips of it on YouTube, of course, like I've stated before, that, you know, anyone that's discussing about Star Wars related content, yes, I would watch some videos based on it, but honestly, I have not watched anything from Disney Star Wars for a very, very long time. Yeah, The Mandalorian Season 1 was the only thing that really caught me. Season 2, I dropped it off after a few episodes. I just couldn't get into it anymore. I just lost that energy, that spark. And also other content that Disney has made around Star Wars. I just couldn't.
But outside of that, I haven't watched a single bit of anything since the Book of Boba Fett, because the Book of Boba Fett was just one of the worst things I've ever seen in my entire life. I really can't get over it. And I didn't expect not to be able to get over it. But
Damn.
I just can't do it. It's just so bad. So, you know, there are people talking about, oh, we're about to get Ahsoka back. We're about to get Thrawn on screen live action.
Yeah, I saw also snippets of that. I mean, it looked interesting, I guess. I just didn't have the interest for it, honestly. Again, you know, seeing Thrawn there, Ahsoka. What's that guy's name again? From Star Wars Rebels. I forgot his name. The young Padawan. I forgot his name. But yeah, he was there too in the Ahsoka Tano TV series. Yeah. I just couldn't.
To get Ezra back from Clone Wars.
Yes, Ezra, thank you. Ugh, I forgot his name.
I mean, not Clone Wars. Star Wars Rebels, and I wish I wish I could be excited about it. I so do wish I could be excited about it. You know, if you told me this a few years ago, we're gonna get Thrawn live action, I would have been so excited. Now I'm just scared. Now I'm just depressed because I wonder, you know, what are they gonna do to Thrawn? How will they mess him up? How will they make him make room for the First Order, subordinate himself before the greater non-narratively driven force of Disney and its whole crackpot of kook writers and terrible decisions. I used to think Disney could do no wrong, you know. They made Endgame. They made Infinity War. Those things were mind-blowing, really, even when they got cringy with the women power scene, which is honestly, it's like when you have to take the women out of the general power scenes and give them their own power scene, it kind of it doesn't make them feel more cool or greater. Not unless you do it in a very particular way. It just feels contrived, like it's there not because it would be there in the universe, because people here in our universe are pushing it in. But it was...
I'm not sure to what women power scene is he referring to exactly. Yeah, I'm not sure. Is he talking about... what was it called again? That Avengers movie with you guys, you want me to go back to movies that I've watched years ago? I can't remember the characters. Oh my gosh, what was his name? The purple guy. I forgot his name. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, guys. When I remember his name, I'll come back. Yeah. But I'm not entirely sure what is afanwithtoomuchtime specifically talking about in terms of, what is it, women power? Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what does he mean by that.
It was easily forgivable because it was cool enough, and also because it was surrounded by the gem that was everything else around it. So it was not bad, really. It was a small scratch on a nearly flawless gem, and honestly, it gave it a little bit of character, like flaws tend to. But not when everything is a flaw. You know, it's a real problem. I see a lot of these new heroes in Marvel Comics. I don't know. I just feel like a lot of characters we see today aren't full people anymore. Their identities literally revolve around their race, their gender, and their gender identity. And real people shouldn't revolve around that. It's one thing if you're being persecuted over it, then yeah, I mean, it's not so much that your entire identity revolves around it, so much as that the world around you is forcing so much of your moment-to-moment survival to be a part of it. That
I agree with. You know, there are many parts to what makes us us. It's not just our gender, our race, our cultural identity or religious, religious beliefs, or any of these other type of smaller things that make the whole part of you. You know, there's a lot more to you than just your identity politics side of it. There's more to you. And if they're not going to add many more dimensions to a particular character, and they're just strictly focusing on the representation aspect of it, then really how are we supposed to connect with you as a human being? You just look like a poster, a signed poster, you know, saying that I represent this, I represent that, I am the forefront of this particular representation. That's not enough, you know.
That you can't help but think about it a lot, because it's the cause of so many of your issues and so many of the things that you have to go through. But that's not you doing it. That's the world doing it to you. You know, like a Jew during the Holocaust doesn't predominate their entire identity as a Jew. But the entire reason they're in such a problem mess right now is because they've been identified as Jewish by intolerant people, and therefore it's organic, feels like that. And then the great tragedy is that that person is definitely way more than a Jew, and the audience comes to understand, when they view stories of that nature, the great tragedy of persecuting people over these kinds of single identity issues, because people are realistically way more than that, and to destroy them or discriminate against them because of something like that is inherently wasteful of their humanity. And now we have something in like the reverse, so many of these new heroes are just all about that. That's where they focus. And it's like even their marketing, like for example, Lady Thor, Thor but a woman.
Lady Thor. Okay, did her parents call her Thor? Because isn't Thor, the name of Thor? So why would they call a hero Lady Thor? Interesting. Anyways.
Is so much more than Thor but a woman. In her comics, they're actually some of the more compelling gender swaps that I've seen, because she has cancer, and every time she invokes the power, it doesn't make it better, it makes it worse, therefore adding this level of humanistic mortality and nuance to the very act of activating these powers. But sadly, she didn't take a new name. She's still Thor, Lady Thor at best, so she will always ride the coattails of Thor and always be in the shadow of that character, never quite able to surpass it despite what merits she may have, because the writers simply couldn't be bothered to give her a better name.
And like I said before, I think maybe it's not the decision of the writers, but the decision of the executives, those who have the final approval on many of these things. They want to make sure that they can get as much money as possible and maximize their profits as much as possible. And if they see an avenue or an opportunity to further, cling on to people's emotions on particular characters or their names, they will try to, squeeze it in and make sure that they are there somehow in some sort of way. Because people are afraid of jumping, or should I say leaping into something new. And that is why we're just seeing the recycle of the same content, just, shifted just here and there, or given a brand new face look, but it's still pretty much the same regurgitated, recycled content, in terms of the characters or the storylines or the types of heroes that are coming about or villains. People are afraid to take that leap into something new because it's risky. It is risky, especially with a very impatient public, that consume a lot of content. They can be very impatient. They will not give you the time of day to, grow this new IP, to make sure that it grows and, there's a world developing around it. Nowadays, people are not that patient. They want the content right now, and therefore businesses like Disney stick to the universes that have already been built, and they just add in their own things just to tick the boxes of things that the public expect, if I can say that. Yeah, I don't know.
Decided to ride on the marketability of Thor's existing name. No confidence in their own power, and that's not good. Lady Thor will never have as much innate marketing face value potential as Valkyrie, because she will always be seen by those who are looking to look into her and don't know about her already as the female version of Thor, whereas Valkyrie is not the female version of male Valkyrie. She's Valkyrie. She is her own woman with a different past, different source of power, and vastly different motivations and styles, which can all be implied just from her name. And then you have things like Ironheart, who will always just be the...
I saw an Ironheart trailer, I think, on YouTube some time ago. Yeah. That's all I watched, the trailer. That's as far as I got with that Ironheart character. Yeah.
try-hard female Black Iron Man. Whereas War Machine will almost never be seen as merely Black Iron Man. Why? Well, for one thing, there's no great, giant, obvious similarity or passing down of the torch, so to speak, between War Machine and Iron Man. And even more than that, War Machine has more thematically in common with Captain America. He stands apart even there in that he's no straight paragon. He's not given the same leeway in his stories as Captain America is to do what Captain America thinks is absolutely right. War Machine is a soldier doing what he can and what he thinks is right in the midst of a very real and powerful military-industrial complex, which is always looking to make him into a pawn or seeking to turn him into a martyr. And watching him struggle against that is the thing that Tony Stark never had to do. And he's not trying to fill Tony Stark's shoes or change what it means to be Iron Man. And therefore, he's just not associated, even though he looks a lot more like Iron Man at this point than Ironheart does. It's interesting too, because like War Machine is not better than Iron Man, which honestly makes him more interesting when I read about him. He's not just one-upping Tony Stark. He's got a friendship relationship with him sometimes, but it's not the same thing as trying to replace him or be him but better, which is really dumb. And it's all Ironheart seems to do. Changing existing characters to fit a political mold also rarely works, because it's not only the case that this political mold, that these well-intentioned people who share my political ideologies are... I'm sorry, head is fucking killing me. It's not just that, that there's this mold that tends to consume everything about them when it's applied to them, but that it needs to be done in a way which agrees with the mold designers as opposed to the character's motivations, like some people have told me, for example, in my own story, that they're like, oh, why is Ahsoka Tano trying for peace so hard? And I mean, for one thing, it is something that she would try to do, but she also has internal motivations that are very explicit that would lead her to be that way. Not the least of which being that she was literally killed on Mortis and then brought back to life by reinvesting the soul of the daughter, the incarnation of the light side herself, into Ahsoka. And you might think, oh, well, then why isn't she a pacifist? The daughter was never a pacifist. The light side is not pacifistic. The light side is natural.
And didn't she always fight with her brother? So yeah, even if she was part of the light side, she was not passive. She would fight with her brother, if I'm not mistaken.
Seeks balance. It is generally well-natured, but in a very long view sense. So, of course, Ahsoka's traits, which are very short view and mortal, combined with the innate internal depth of the light side, and therefore Ahsoka, tells her clones to cut the limbs off of the captured Skitarii, because Ahsoka ain't no fool, and she's not going to let things like compassion and kindness blind her entirely to the point of suicide. But at the same time, she's going to try her very best and even put out certain risks to see if this can't be ended in a way that would result in less death and bloodshed and heartbreak for both sides. I mean, Ahsoka knows the Confederacy is led by a Sith, has seen the atrocities they commit and how there have been chances for peace with the Confederacy, and that either the Republic squanders it or the Confederacy squanders it. And there hasn't been a chance for peace between the Imperials, who they know virtually nothing about, and the Republic. And if when she began delving into the motivations the Empire has for acting the way they do, if she had found that they were doing it just because they're power hungry, or just because they're evil, or just because they're cruel, which some of them most certainly do, but that's not the way the majority of the people who run and are being run by the Imperium operate. They're afraid. The Imperium is run by fear. It's extremely analogous to what Yoda had said in Episode 1. You know, fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. You don't defeat that by encouraging it. You defeat it by confronting it and giving it another option. You have to give them another option. Droids don't surrender, but these aren't droids. It's a very different context. So, that's how I try to play Ahsoka out in this series, and this is why she's the proponent for peace. Contrast that with things like Deadpool. Deadpool's latest change. Deadpool is now romantically involved with a non-binary Korean mercenary, I believe.
Oh, Deadpool is a girlfriend. Oh, okay. Or is it his fiance?
Which kicks my ass, because what really kicks my ass about this is it's not that this person is non-binary or Korean or whatever. It's just that Deadpool has been in relationships before, and what's been shown is that he can't really maintain them because he's a tragic figure. He's very comedic, but he's also a very tragic figure.
So what happened to the lady he was with in the first movie of Deadpool? Guys, that's as far as I got with the Deadpool franchise as well. Like,
Deadpool, Deadpool is he's insane. He's insane for many reasons. He's insane because of the shifting and healing cancer in his brain due to the mixture of his illness and his meta-human powers. And on top of that, Deadpool is he's even if he got that cured, he's still fucked up from his life experience and from all the things he's gone through, like any soldier or warrior might be. And it has made him toxic in ways that don't allow him to have long-lasting relationships, which doesn't mean that I don't want to see him try one of those, but it does mean that relationship can't be too idyllic. It needs to make sense. It needs to be it needs to make sense with the character. It needs to make sense, and it doesn't make sense for Deadpool to be super lovey-dovey and copacetic with this person without a great amount of build-up, which I haven't been made privy to. That's the thing. There needs to be build-up. The legwork needs to be put in, and it so rarely is. And then once it goes down the way that a person might imagine an idyllic relationship to go down, more or less, as opposed to the way it should actually go down when the flaws of the characters and their personalities are taken into consideration. And that's not good. It's really, really, really not good. That's a very, very bad thing. So, I'm going to have to wrap it up a little bit. I need to go lie down again. Let me see here. But what was I saying? Right. it's it doesn't rhyme narratively with the themes that we've seen Deadpool existing within. Instead, it rhymes more as it's like fitting a brand of "this is good, everyone wants this." It's the same thing with John Kent and Tim Drake. Tim Drake's new bisexual gay relationship and John Kent's gay relationship, they read less like those.
The Superman family? I think so. I think it's the Superman family TV show, right? Yeah.
Characters actually having interesting stories with those relationships being a part of their lives and the normal interactions they would have. And it reads more instead like I don't know, like advertisements for these kinds of relationships instead of actually interesting scenarios involving these interesting characters having relationships with real flawed people. It almost reads like propaganda, and that has no place in creative media, regardless of what your political bent is, left or right. Now, full disclosure, I think that when the modern contemporary right does this, I think it's more dangerous than when the left does it, because when the left does it, it's just annoying and it destroys good characters and histories, and it damages the liberal cause, which is what makes it the most dangerous, because it gives reason for people to be against inclusion. It gives cause for people who already have a bias or a hatred against these things to fuel that bias, to remember that hatred, to keep it fresh, because it's not being done in a skillful way or an honest way. And then it damages the actual liberal causes of everybody gets the same rights, everyone gets the same opportunities. We don't discriminate against people like that. It damages that. That's what makes it dangerous. Whereas some of which is not as much, which is why I don't bring it up as much, but like when I do see it, like a modern day right-wing bent to things, it's often hero worship, nationalism, which, there needs to be a certain amount of nationalism. You should be proud of where you come from and what you've done with the place, but not to the point of forgetting reality or overlooking tremendous sin, or being blind to things that could be done better. Nationalism can be very dangerous when taken to the extreme in a really direct way that can involve people being horrifically persecuted or destroyed, murdered, which is why I tend to look much more ruefully upon the right-wing bent of this kind of thing than the left-wing bent. But the fact of the matter is just this. Right now, the left-wing bent is propagating like maggots in rotten meat. And something needs to be said about it, especially by us who are actually part of the liberal cause. I believe gay people, trans people, and whatever gender identity you have, people should have equal rights under the law with literally anyone else and everyone else. I do not begrudge anyone having relationships with whoever they want. I do not hate that they are included or represented in popular media. It is the case that I'm a straight white guy. I mean, I'm kind of a mutt, but I came out white, so for all intents and purposes, you see me on the street, I'm white. A straight white guy, I still support all these things. I have no intention of ever transitioning. I have no intention of ever becoming a literal part of the LGBTQ community, because I'm not LGBTQ. I'm just an ally, helping however I can because it's the right thing to do. But when their very existence of inclusion into these things becomes the avenue and the excuse by which favorite existing characters and franchises lose their quality of writing. These people who write these things not only damage these beloved characters, but they damage the very cause they think they're representing. And that, more than anything else, burns me. Because, yes, I love fiction. I'm a fiction writer. But I love real people more. I don't want to see them get regressed and persecuted again, because these things can be used against them, and they definitely can. You know, these liberal writers who call themselves liberal but are really not, they need to remember the course of history. The pendulum swings, you know, and these people are becoming the perfect excuses to shun all representation in the future and to justify hatred and bias against the groups they think they're representing. And the corporations that back them, they're either malicious because they know what they're doing, or they're foolish because they can't see the obvious repercussions of their actions. Yeah, please, Disney, Marvel, Star Wars, Amazon, all the rest, please, just stop. Get some help. Pull your heads out of your asses and start writing stories about characters and worlds again, and not about the politics that exists outside of them. If you want to create worlds with those issues, create them. That can be incredibly compelling. But don't inject them where they weren't before or where they don't belong.
And that's why I'm saying, you know, they're afraid to make new IPs. They're afraid to make new universes, new stories, things that step away from those well-known and established franchises, you know. Make something new. Make something new centered around a character that has got all of those, you know, tick boxes ticked on what type of person this person should be. And then mold this character, give this character a universe to exist in, and, you know, give it its abilities, its strengths and weaknesses. What is this character there to do? What's its purpose? What is its future? What is its past? You know, make people fall in love with new IPs instead of recycling and regurgitating the same stuff, but then add it with new characters that just don't really fit in this universe or franchise. Yeah. Start afresh. Start something new. Take that leap.
You know, there is a way to have representation, but it involves being true to the characters and the worlds. Don't tarnish what has been hard fought for in an overzealous, low effort, low quality, and dishonest attempt to, I don't know, brainwash people through their favored media faces. It will do the opposite, and you've already set us back. Please, just stop. Get some help. Touch some goddamn grass. Alright, guys. I'm afraid I'm at the end of my current stamina, so I'll have to go ahead and put it down here. Please let me know what you think in the comments sections down below. And I'll see you next time.
Alright guys, that's it with the after talk of Star Wars vs. Warhammer 40k. Episode 42, Part 4, Mortal Fall after talk. Yes, made on the afanwithtoomuchtime YouTube channel. Yes, in terms of the AI voices, like I've stated before, use them if you can, and if you know, you find some characters afanwithtoomuchtime that you think would need an AI voice in it, you can do so. I have no problems with it. I support it 100%. But in terms of Ahsoka Tano, a bit more mature, and then you've got it. In terms of how the entertainment industry is transforming or pandering or kneeling towards a identity politics type of entertainment. Yeah, well, that is just the way things are heading now. It's just something that we have to all accept. You can try and insist that they should change and that they should revert back to focusing on the character building process and stop focusing on the identity part of the character. You could try, but I guess the executives and the owners of these companies have made themselves quite clear. They want money. They want to make sure that they get money as fast as possible and as easily accessibly as possible. And they believe that focusing on identity politics is the best way to get what they want. So we just have to go along with it until one day, maybe that day might never come, where people decide that, we want to know more about this character than just knowing that this character is a heterosexual or a homosexual or whatever identity that they represent. We want to know more about this character. Until that time, we'll just have to go along with what is given to us. It doesn't mean you have to watch it, because I don't. I don't watch any of these content created by Disney. I know of it because I check on it on YouTube or any of the other social media sites. I know of its existence, but I just don't have the energy to watch any of it because I just find it boring and just dragging and not really good, because like I've stated before, I'm a child of the times when seasons were 20 episodes long, where you could focus on this person's identity politics and focus on this person's personal attributes and their identity more than just their political side of it, where you would focus on the storyline and the universe and the different characters within the universe connecting to the main characters, and that was a duration of over 20 episodes, and nowadays we just don't do that. We're just rushing just 5 episodes, maybe 10 episodes if we're lucky, and then we're done with the season. And yeah, it just doesn't excite me. It just doesn't excite me at all. So yeah, this is the world that we live in right now, where expediencies, political expediencies are the name of the game, and companies have decided that this is the future for the foreseeable future. For the foreseeable future, this is how content is going to be created, and yeah, we'll just have to be patient. Yeah, that's all I can say. Alright guys, that's it. Remember, if you want to check out the original video as well as afanwithtoomuchtime's YouTube channel, the links are going to be in the description below. If you like my reaction, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Click on the notification bell if you want to be up to date with my latest videos, and I'll see you guys hopefully next week. Okay?